Final Fantasy VI almost could have been split into two stories. The first half ends with Kefka winning, and then next one is just
the aftermath.
So what you're telling me is that Kevin Feige stole the idea of splitting Infinity War in one game from Final Fantasy VI.
He sure did.
After he wins, he basically just disappears from the story until the final boss.
Feige, what the this is literally Avengers! Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the HGO podcast. I am one of your hosts today, Ethan, and as always, I'm joined by my good friends, Kyle and Hunter. Hey, guys. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing just swell.
Doing pretty good.
You know, I don't know. How do you do podcasting? How to podcasting? Has anyone found that tutorial yet? Because I feel
podcasting for dummies.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, 110 episodes in or something ridiculous, and I'm like, I still don't feel like I know how to do an intro to a podcast. Because, you know, there's two types of podcast intros, right? There's the very generic, yo gamers, how's it going? Here's everybody with their handles and let's do that. And then there's the people that just stumble into a podcast, and I feel like we don't know which one we want to be. Because there's the first 5 seconds where we're like, hey guys, how's it going? Very scripted. And then Ethan goes into a tangent instantly, and now where the fuck are we? It's like, what do we do from here?
Oh, you know.
You know, I will say about the intros, I'm glad we got rid of the nicknames.
Oh, 100%, dude. Like, honestly.
100%.
I feel
Season
like
1, that was a mistake.
You're saying you don't like being known as the Weed Wonder?
No, I didn't.
No, to be fair, I didn't like saying it either. So, you know, I don't know why we kept... I feel like it was tradition.
You kept going.
Because, yeah, I just felt like it was tradition.
Well, good for you.
Just
no
made
one
Hunter,
asked.
It was just making Hunter happy. It was all the puns, that's why. I felt like I had to make every single one a pun or alliteration. So it was like, I had to make Hunter smile somehow. Like, that was the only way.
Yeah.
Puns are the only way to Hunter's heart. Everyone knows that.
It's true.
It's true. It's a shortcut for sure.
That's what's going to happen, guys, is what you know is like, give us another year when season 3 wraps. We're just killing season 1. That's how it's going to be. There's a 3-year exclusivity deal. Once an episode turns 3 years, dead. It's like those Twitter profiles that kill tweets after so many years. It's like, die.
It gets put in the Disney vault.
You're going to have to buy it. Yeah, guys, you're going to have to buy it on Blu-ray. Like, you're going to have to buy a podcast on Blu-ray. That's how it works. I don't make the rules.
That'll be how we sell a Patreon tier. You get the
I was just gonna
old
say.
content.
The vault. The HGO vault.
Yeah.
You know, would you guys pay for it? I know I wouldn't.
I wouldn't.
It's like paying for the worst content.
I would just make it again.
Just make it again. You know, we could remaster our old episodes. Just do them better. Could you imagine? Just like, hey guys, we're going to remaster our episodes. Bring in some variety, add some guests where they weren't originally there, you know, add some content.
Yeah.
Just do a redo. This is what we would have envisioned episode 11 of the HGO podcast to be, okay? Just pick.
If we had webcams at that point in the show, you know, this is what it would look like.
All right, everyone, this is our real thoughts on Ghost of Tsushima.
It was epic.
It was bad.
It was a video game. But no, welcome back in.
Exist.
Speaking of video games, we've got a banger for you today, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you, we've all been prepared. We've all done our research. We're definitely
We sure have.
Not winging it, and by we I mean me. You know, because as a host, I like to spread my problems with everybody because that's what we do best. Is we like to delegate and then blame the problem on everybody else. It's just what we do. So this week we
share the successes, we share the failures.
Yeah, I feel like that's what I feel like. It's like I feel like we share the successes and the failures are solely on me because I feel like with the YouTube algorithm, it's 100% on me whether an episode does well or not. But that's just how I feel, which is not a healthy relation.
It's the YouTube algorithm.
That's the thing. Some people do, and they're selfish and they don't share, and that's what I'm not on about, dude. I'm looking at you, Mr. Beast. Why aren't you sharing? Come on. You give. I'm not giving people $100,000. Maybe that's the secret to the YouTube algorithm.
He's too busy planting trees.
I really do wish I could I really do wish he would share his bypassing thing. It doesn't matter how many times I tell YouTube I'm not interested in that guy. He always shows back up.
He knows your location, dude. He knows your location. But no, this week we're going to be talking about the greatest video game characters of all time. Have we reached a new low? Are we going that generic? Yes, we are. because it's May, and if you saw my tweet from like February or January, you wouldn't know that May is, everybody. I feel like I should have made a jingle, like get the Wii Sports theme and just have me shouting filler month, you know? It's like, it's filler month, guys. Welcome on in. There's no new games. We've got a while. So, hey, now's the time. If you guys have any topics that you wanted to talk about over the next few weeks, email us at hotgamersonly@gmail.com or leave it in the YouTube comments if you're a video user. A user? A viewer, more.
Or hit us up on Twitter.
Or hit us up on Twitter at hotgamersonly or in any of our little tags. And then I'm not. Shall I do the thing? Hunter, just for you.
Hunter,
just
we're not
you.
there yet. The episode's just started.
There you go, Hunter. Just for you. They're on the screen there.
It's Pavlovian. I have to do it.
It's on the screen there. You can get in contact with us and let us know what you want us to talk about. Because, man, we need some content. Want some guests? Do I have to start going and blackmailing some of our friends? Just ask some people. Be like, hey, guys, we need content, please. Hope you like speedrunners, because that's all the connections I have. Anyway, greatest video game characters of all time. This all stemmed from a conversation that we had off the podcast last week.
Tell them how we got here, because it's a funny story.
Is it a funny story? Because I feel like basically,
it's something that felt obvious to me, and then it just absolutely broke Kyle.
That's
It
the
felt
funny
like
part.
as
I
well.
learned about who I was. You know?
Yeah, because I was jokingly saying that Kyle always has a type when it comes to video game characters that he likes. I'm not talking about get the horny thoughts out of your brains, audience. I'm just talking about characters in general. I'm like, you can tell a Kyle-ass character.
Just like from appearance.
From appearance and just from personality. You can basically, from one line or two lines of dialogue, you can get the kind of character that Kyle would like. I mean, you can also do that with Hunter in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
as well.
you can do that with me. It's not hard.
But Kyle didn't realize that he was so easy to read. He did not realize that he was an open book. Hunter realizes he's an open book. You can just show Hunter a character and be like, yeah.
Spoiler alert, I like trench coats in the color red a lot of the time.
Fuck. I wouldn't have guessed that. God, you've changed my whole understanding of the universe, Hunter. I'm going to have to rewatch all 110 episodes of the HGO podcast to truly convince myself on this newfound universe that I have created.
Even his microphone is red.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. I also realized that was a very Stanley Parable kind of thing to say about watching in the entirety of the podcast again. Do it. Anyway, and go play Stanley Parable.
Do it.
My favorite character is Stanley, guys. But so we're going to talk
at the
about
19-minute mark. Stanley pushed the pause button.
Silly Stanley. That's the Stanley Parable would have a podcast where you pause it and then they just carry on anyway. And it'd be like, Stanley paused the podcast, not realizing that it was live, and he had to listen to every single word of it, whether he'd like it or not. You know?
That'd be a really funny bit, somehow having it in your head.
Yeah. Stanley didn't realize that the podcast was in his head and he couldn't turn it off. Hi, Stanley. But anyway, we're going to talk about favorite video game characters. Have you turned off yet? If not, we'll make you in a second. We're going to talk about all our favorite characters, what we love. And these two have got a list. I don't. I'm just going to speak from my heart. And probably from my arse as well as I come up with.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about, we're basically posing the question, what are the greatest video game characters of all time? And hey, if you agree, if you disagree, let us know in the comments. Again, get in contact with us at hotgamersonly on Twitter or at gmail.com. And let us know, what are your favorite characters? What do you love? What makes a character good in your eyes? And yeah, we'll have this discussion. We'll make people angry. We'll make people sad. Maybe one day we'll say we'll do the worst characters of all time, and then we'll truly aggravate people, as I'll genuinely just go down favorite characters list and go hate them. But it's all good. So I'm going to start with you, Cal, because this all stemmed from this conversation about you being an open book. And so I feel a great game here, Hunter, is for us to play a game of when Kyle lists a character, we act if we're surprised or not. I feel like it's going to be a great game. Try and make it an audible reaction, Hunter, because obviously all podcast listeners won't be able to see us fully sarcastically shocked faces. So, Kyle, what's first on your list?
So I don't really have like an order for how I did this. I just kind of put them down as I thought about them.
No, like I say, I want this to be a journey, okay? I want this to be a flowing conversation where we mock each other for our no, where we just, it flows to and through. They're not ranked. There's no order to it. There's not number 10 is Burger King foot lettuce. We're not doing that. We're just...
My favorite video game character from such classics as
number 10. Yeah.
Number 10.
We're just going to flow this through. So Hunter might go, hey, I have a character similar to that. Or I'll be like, I hate that kind of character. I'm the opposite. He is this. We'll just make it flow. We'll see how long we go for. I'm not going to judge you too much.
So I think I'll start with this one, because this is kind of where I started to have that epiphany of like, oh god, I am that predictable. It's Therion from Octopath Traveler.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I remember this last
this
week.
point,
We brought
this
him
was
up
where
and he was
it
like,
broke
darn
me.
it!
This was where it broke me, because we were talking like, oh yeah, the girl you like, it's Ophelia also from Octopath. And I'm like, well, no, I
The
also
magic
like,
blonde girl.
I also like Therion. He's cool, but like, oh my god, wait, no, snarky asshole character was the other trope I liked, and Therion falls right into that.
Yeah,
Sure
I think
does.
one
It's
thing
just
there. Hunter and I very much realized that Kyle has two types when it comes to characters, and it's just blonde characters and snarky characters, and there you go. There are some exceptions to his rule. Like, I can list those off, like, off the top of my head, but I'm not going to because they're probably on his list. But
I'm just looking. So I also got like stats. I split this up between guys and girls.
he genuinely, he genuinely has.
Guys,
There's a
need
DPS column.
He has a fucking spreadsheet, dude. He's put these in like he's ranked them like the fucking Overwatch characters. Like, he's like, this person's in this category, this person. I'm queuing for this one, guys. Like, genuinely, he did more homework than me and Hunter.
Well, you didn't do any homework, so that's not hard, Ethan.
I like to think that I have
You
to put in like...
participate in class when you do the work.
Yeah, but here's the thing: is everybody else gets to do their prep for class and then shows up to class. I have after school class, and then I have to go and do revision
he's got
afterwards.
A point. He's got like clubs afterwards. He doesn't have time for homework.
I don't have time for homework. I have to put 6 hours into this, whether I like it or not, to get it out into the world. But yes, so Therion from Octopath Traveler. Why do you like them?
So, from what I recall, his story is one of the more interesting ones from Octopath, where basically, as a kid, he had this friend and he ended up getting betrayed by him, and then he ended up becoming like a fly solo rogue kind of character.
And he vowed never to feel again, was
Yeah.
essentially the lesson
Classic.
he learned.
He's
Classic.
just like
lesson he
me, for
learned.
real.
Yeah.
You love to see it. But no, this guy... Yo, can we add... Right. Can we add... I'm looking at his... Can we add, like, cloak to Kyle's resume as well? Or, like, cape and cloak
Cloaks are
combo?
cool, yeah.
Because I feel like that's also a type of Kyle's. Because it's like...
Honestly, I thought it was more like a poncho in what he wears.
It's a poncho, but I'd more call it a cloak or a cape, kind of.
Cloak.
Yeah,
That's what
Also
I would
got-
call it.
It's also got like a cool scarf.
you do like scarves. Basically, we can just characterize you by the way they look, which just makes you a very.
What a surprise.
You're a
The
horrible
things that
person,
look
Kyle.
cool are
You're
cool
a-
to me.
You're a horrible person, Kyle. It's all looks with you. It's not about the soul. It should be about the soul of the person.
That's the thing. It also is, with a lot of these characters, it is also just about their character. It's not just 12-year-old brain saying, that guy looked cool, I like cool thing.
I don't believe you.
It's
I
also
genuinely
just
don't
like-
believe you.
Yeah, Therion's story, to be fair, is pretty solid as far as it is portrayed in the game.
No, that's fair enough. I mean, I haven't played Octopath, so can't
Yeah.
judge it.
You
Even
own it,
though I own it.
Also,
It's also on Game Pass.
it is. You double own it.
Triple. It's on Game Pass for PC as well. That's the triple threat. I'm never gonna play it on PC though. I'm never gonna play it, but you know.
Dude, you
I
really
also
should.
seem to remember keeping him in my party rotation pretty frequently, as far as his utility in combat.
I liked his utility outside of combat, because there were these special purple chests that only he could open,
Oh,
and it
right,
just
the
saved having to
purple chests.
backtrack through a dungeon to get it.
Yeah.
So from there on, I'm like, you are my starting character, so you will never leave my party, Mr. Thiefy Boy.
Mr. Thiefy boy. See, the problem I have with most RPGs, where it's like, if I do have characters that are in RPGs, especially turn-based RPGs on my list, which I'll probably come up with a couple, but most of the time, the problem with JRPGs is it doesn't matter how good, your characters have to be, like, exceptional to me for me to give a shit, because I am not a turn-based RPG fan. I fucking despise turn-based combat for the most part, so you have to have dang good characters, or else Ethan's brain's turning off. And I feel like it's also selfish because it's like, if any turn-based or strategy kind of RPG game gets on my list, the character will be on my list. It's 100% because of VO. If it's just a text, like, that's why I'll never play old Final Fantasy games, because if there's no voiceover, I'm like, salut, no investment, because fucking grinding and reading? Cringe. Don't care how cool you are, dude. Get out.
The old Final Fantasy doesn't have a very dry delivery of pretty please from Cloud.
Exactly. And it's just, I don't know why.
Or
it's just
Barrett singing.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know why. It's just, that is the way my brain works. It's like, there's so many cool characters, but to me, a performance is like a very important part of it to me, especially in a game where I don't particularly like the gameplay systems. It's like, I'm not a huge Xenoblade gameplay guy. I'm not, especially Xenoblade 1.
No, neither am I.
But the characters get me through the gameplay.
They sure do.
If that was text-based reading for most of it, I'd be like, oh, fuck, kill me. No. Just couldn't do it.
That's kind of how I feel about, like, the guy party members in Persona 3. Because at least in FES, I can't speak to Portable because I never played that. But in FES, none of the guy party members have social links. It's only the female party members.
Yeah.
So all the guy characters have to get their development in the story, which for some characters like Junpei, it works really well. But for a character like Akihiko, he's really only a character when the story needs him to be a character. Other than that, he just kind of exists.
Man gets hard.
I mean, I feel like that's the...
The difference is he's around since, like, the start of the game.
Yeah, he is.
Man gets chia'd.
It's just, I do feel like that is the pro and con of Persona, is that you have the beauty of the social link system where you can basically choose, I really like that character, I want to get more story about them. But then it also means that it's very much a dice flip on, one, what's in that social link, and how much of the story kind of transpires in the actual main quest line, right? It's like one of the reasons. Go on, Hunter. Go on.
Makoto, it gets featured pretty frequently.
Yeah, I was gonna go down the same line.
Story,
yeah,
and her social link sucks.
Yeah, that's genuinely the reason where it's like, I get why people like Makoto from the main story, and I also do like Makoto from the main story quite a bit. But the reason that I never romanced her in the game isn't because I don't like... I'd like to say I hate Makoto, just because I really like to stir shit in the Persona community. It's just my favourite thing. It's because Persona fans in particular are so fucking sensitive. And to be fair...
They really are.
Yeah, like, to be fair, it's like, fair play. If you want to care that much, you do you. But you're so sensitive to people having opinions that differ from yours that I just love feeding into it. Because it's like, people just need to learn that life's life, dude. Just get over it. It's like, if you hate something that I like, I don't care. I'm not going to take it personally. And it's the same way. But Makoto, for me, is definitely one of those characters where it's like, I really like you in the story, and I think you're a pretty decent character, but your social link did absolutely nothing to strengthen your character at all. And if anything, it meant that I was actually I felt more connected to other characters in the story, because I found out more about Ryuji's personal life and what he's been through during his social link. And yeah, he might not impact the story as much, but then I feel like he's more of a character because I know more of the basics about it. Yes, I know Makoto's dad died, but that's all I know, really.
Yeah.
And it's like, even that you get from the story, because a lot of Sai and Makoto's dynamic is very much tied to the main story. And it's like, to me anyway, I much rather prefer learning stuff about characters like Futaba or like Ryuji or even Yusuke, which is a very underappreciated character in the story, but when you go through his social link and you actually realize what's behind him, you're like, that's great. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. And the other thing with Persona 3 is that with its female characters, it feels like some of them kind of get like double dip, because you get characters like Yukari and Mitsuru who have huge story significance throughout pretty much the whole game, and then you get their social links on top of that. So it's like they get all of this development, they get super fleshed out through story and side content, and then poor Akihiko just exists on the couch.
You know, I feel the same way
cleaning off his boxing gloves.
Controversial opinion here about Royal, and it's one of the things that I really like Kasumi as a character, but I feel like, again, Kasumi is one of those characters that is double dipped in a way where it's a bit like the reason. The more I think about it, when I finished Royal, I'm like, there's no other option. You have to pick Kasumi, because I feel like the game's shoving it in your face. And they very much are, because you get all of her development, the appearances during the main original story of P5. You also get her first half of her social link. Then the entire fucking epilogue of the game is all about her, and she has a separate social link. And by the time you're at that point, you've basically done everybody's social link, so all you're doing is hanging out with her, where it gets to the point where I feel like, the reason that I feel like that is because you're so overexposed to her by the end of it that you just kind of feel like that. And I'm like, one of my kind of cons about Royal, which I wish they had done more of now when I look back at it retrospectively, is, man, I really wish we just got more development of the original cast as well. I really wish in that third semester it just wasn't about these 2 or 3 characters specifically, that we did get more than just one scene of...
More than just the one conversation.
Yeah, more than the one conversation.
I'm sorry, I got hypnotized.
And don't get me wrong, you do get new scenes. You get new scenes at Christmas. You get all kinds of new moments that do happen there's the school dance as well. There's a load of stuff that you do have if you choose these new characters, but it's not like, I just wish there was more of it. Yeah. If that makes sense. So yeah.
Oh, that's what we got strikers for.
Yeah. I wish
Kazumi's
more for
not
that.
even in that.
And neither are any kind of relationships that you developed really. It's just, hey, do you want to be friends? Yeah. Or hey, did you romance Zan and base P5? Yo, do you want to get fucking friend zoned with the cat instead of having any kind of moment? Lamau. I'm like, great, love it. Do you know, shall I just say mine's Persona related? Should I say my first one now while we're still talking about Persona? It. I'm not going to go for a main character, because I feel like I've spoken to death about a load of P5 characters, and I could very much go, number 1, Akechi, number 2, Ryuji. So I'm not going to say
was on my list.
Is Akechi on your list?
Of course he was.
Akechi's a Giga Chad.
He is a Giga Chad. And I have 2 on my list, and one of them is spoilers, kind of, and the other one isn't. So which one do you want to go with? Do you want to? I will not. I don't want to try and spoil anything for anybody. So but one of them is kind of hard to. It's like saying Akechi before base P5. It's like, if you haven't played base P5, it's kind of hard to see why people like Akechi until you've played it.
Very true.
I'll go with it, and I'll just say it's got spoilers for P5 Royal, so skip like 4 minutes ahead into the video if you don't want spoilers. Anyway, you ready? You gone? Good. Maruki from Persona 5 Royal is
good,
potentially the best villain that I have, well, quote unquote villain that I have seen in a video game. And one, I think it's down to the performance. I think that Billy Kamatz, who is a wonderful and amazing voice actor, who is going through some really tough shit in the moment, and God, praying for the best for him, because man, he's so fucking incredibly talented, and he's such a nice individual, and something so shitty couldn't have happened to a nicer person, and just a nicer group of people with his loved ones and his friends and stuff like that. So man, I really do hope for the best. But his performance in that game is something else, where you have this character where the beauty is, I've had friends that didn't play base P5 and just play Royal, and it's almost, you've got that instinct to telling your friends, okay, you need to hang out with this person, I'm not going to tell you why. But what you quickly realize is he's such a good character, you don't even need to tell people to go and spend time
People
with
just
Maruki
wanna
because you
hang
just
out
want
with
to
him.
anyway.
Yeah.
Because
He's got snacks.
he's got snacks,
Yeah,
and he's
he
just
does.
such a good performance. And I think it's such a great example of your villain doesn't have to be evil to be a good adversary, to be a good opponent. And I feel like because he does such a good
He
job,
just
because
has to be ideologically opposite
yeah,
in some
exactly,
kind of
because
way.
in a lot of ways a villain or an enemy doesn't think they're a villain in their mind. They're the
No.
protagonist, they're the hero, their agenda is what they believe is best for everybody, right? And very much when you look at Maruki from a character level, what's his wish? He's had such a shitty go about it, and he's seen all the pain and suffering that's happened to people around him, that he's willing to sacrifice his own life to make sure everybody else has the perfect one. And in his mind, that's what he wants, and that's his goal. And the fact that he's kind of taking away free will in the process of doing so, and he's making that choice for everybody, is kind of the adversary. And I just love how in a game where Persona 5, where it always juggles with black and white, the kind of, are we the good guys? Are we
and
doing
it was
the right
never
thing?
that good at doing it.
And it was never that good
before.
at doing it. Like, there was times where it was good at doing it, but very much it also wasn't.
Trying to guilt trip you for what happened to Okumura was not their best moment there, as far as the writing and the story went.
No,
but
definitely not.
Going up to the confrontation with Maruki was definitely one where I'm like, man, I feel bad about this one.
No, and it genuinely does. It does bring into question the fact that, we can change this, but at the same time, it's kind of that contradiction of Maruki's creating this perfect world for everybody and not giving everybody the choice. And it's in a way, we're taking away Maruki's choice to make that world. And it's like there's all these like parallels that you can make of essentially in the same way that Joker and Akechi are the same on different paths, where something has critically altered them, where they've gone down these two separate paths. Maruki is in the same way of they both have these deep thoughts and beliefs and love for the world and for the people in it and want to do right by them, but our ideologies change, and it's in the way of, it's the youthful Phantom Thieves who are all young and want to make what they want of the world and have this choice and do all that, and Maruki, who's older, who's probably in his mid-30s, right, who has had the world beat him to death, to say no and to just have all those chances taken away and be like, I don't want that on other people. And it's just like, none of them are particularly in the wrong, and you don't feel great about the outcome in a way. And it's like, you just like I said, the whole ending of Royal just kind of makes you feel like fucking empty. And I feel like it's great because original P5 was just ending was just doing an encore of P4's.
Yeah.
And it's just like Royal finally gives it the ending of,
that it deserves.
If you have if P3 is despair and P4 is melancholy, then fucking P5 is just fucking emptiness.
Nothing.
It is,
existing.
It is just,
life
it
goes
genuinely is. It is, life goes on whether you want it to or not, and it's like no hard feelings, but it's just like that. To me, Maruki is proof to me that, God, I really hope that Persona 6 gets something like this, where we don't fight God at the end and we have something at the end of it that feels
it doesn't need to be a world-ending stakes if it feels good enough already, man.
No, man.
Yeah.
And like I said,
my favorite part of that whole confrontation wasn't even, it was the part where you're just down to the fisticuffs, man.
And it feels silly and it feels good, but at the same time, it also feels like
it feels so right though.
It feels so right and feels so it's cliche, but it just feels so right and it feels like very poignant. And it's like, it just amazes me that they created this character in a series that, from my experience anyway, from the couple of games I've played, seems to be very cliche with their villains in a way where I didn't like P5's original villains really until they fucking elaborated on Akechi and Royal. And I really don't like P4's villain, at all. He's my least favorite part of that game. And I can probably guarantee I probably won't like 3's either. But it's like, I don't know. To be fair, 3's has always been kept a secret to me, and I still don't know. So I feel like there may be some more grayscale on that because I didn't play it instantly and go from the first 5 hours ago. I think I found it.
You're climbing.
They're all right.
It's Hades.
Yeah. So it's like, it was just so interesting for them to have this character that was so well developed in it as a change, instead of being like this classic kind of tropey villain. And I really do hope they have learned from that with Royal. And I feel like because it's the new development team, because there's a new director what was on Royal, the new team basically started on Royal. It's a good starting point, and I hope they continue to take those lessons. So anyway, sorry, that was a very big Persona rant. I'm not even going to mention my other character. Maybe at the end, if I'm feeling quirky. Hunter, we haven't heard from you. Give us a character, dude.
All right, let me have a look here real quick. Where do I want to start?
And also, if we spoke more than 4 minutes, then I'm so sorry to the people that might have been ruined.
To the opposite end of the spectrum, let's just jump to a cliche, but done so well, with Kefka Palazzo from Final Fantasy VI. He is the typical, like, world-ending psychopath, but he's just so entertaining in every scene he's in, and the fact that he, like, wins halfway through the game is always something that always... I'm like, oh yes, respect to that choice.
I always love that kind of thing. You don't see it often, but I always... Well, let's get this right. I hate fucking fights where you win a fight and then you lose the fight. Let's just get that out of the way. I hate when games do that. Yeah. Like, Xenoblade is a fucking... Like, it's like, it's a lesson on how to not do this. Is, well, you won? No, you lost. I hate that shit. But I do always love when you have games or you have movies and they do have this, oh no, we need to rebound kind of moment where it's like, oh no, they fucking did win and now we've got to deal with the consequences of that.
Yeah.
Like, genuinely, Final Fantasy VI almost could have been split into 2 stories. The part that really happens in the first half, and then it ends with Kefka winning, and then, like, the next one is just the world rebuilding from that disaster.
So what you're telling me is that Kevin Feige stole the idea of splitting Infinity War and Endgame from Final Fantasy VI. That's what you're telling me.
He sure did.
Fuck you, Feige. We're on to you.
Suck it, Thanos.
Us three and Robert Pattinson are all on to you, Feige, dude. We're on to you. No wonder he chose the Batman over Marvel. Anyway, so carry on. Sorry, Hunter. I feel like I cut you off.
And then, like, he's just a really good foil for the struggles that the characters go through. Because he's just, like, in a lot of ways, he's also, like, it's like if Junko from Danganronpa wasn't obnoxious in the wrong ways. Because he is a very, like, despairing kind of character where he's just nihilistic. Like,
dude, builds a giant tower with a death ray on it.
Yeah, he does. And then when the party all confronts him, being like, yeah, we've learned from this and we're stronger now, and blah, blah, blah. He's like, oh, you all sound like chapters in a self-help book. Have at you. And all that. And it's like, oh, yeah, nothing's going to get through to this guy anymore. But he's still, like, it's if the party was lesser in Final Fantasy VI... Well, I would have respected it if he won again anyway. But if the party was lesser, like if they were like the Final Fantasy 15 characters, I would have actively been rooting for Kefka to win. Because he was just so entertaining the whole time.
Yeah.
You know, it's like... Sorry, go on, Kyle. No, sorry.
I was going to say, one thing I really like about Kefka is that after the first half of the game, after he wins, he basically just disappears from the story until the final boss. Because at that point in his
Avengers, what the fuck?
At that point in his mind, he's already won. He doesn't need to do anything else.
This is literally Feige. What the fuck? This is literally Avengers. Thanos is literally not in the Endgame except for the first scene and then the end. Like literally, he takes the middle off. We're on to him, dude. I feel like we've got something here.
Yeah, honestly, pull the plug on the MCU. They don't have any original ideas anymore.
Yeah, it's true.
Give us the FFCU, please.
Final Foul. Oh my god, that'd be fucking tragic. God,
it'd be hilarious.
Advent Children 2 is the jumping off point.
But you know, it's like I feel like in a lot of TV and movies, and just in video games in general, right? The funnest character to write and the funnest character to be is always a villain. Like honestly. Yeah. It doesn't matter how good your protagonist is. It's like almost everything rides on your villain a lot of the time because you always need to attach with them. You always have to feel like you know their agenda, and most importantly, you just gotta be entertained. You kind of gotta be like amazed by them in a way. There's gotta be that kind of grasp towards them, or else they don't really
people throw the Joker comparison out, obviously, because he's a clown, so it's really easy to just get there mentally. But as far as the best portrayals of the Joker, he is really similar in the way that they're oftentimes like the best part of what they're in.
Yeah. But it's it always, to me, it's like, I can almost let go with an underwhelming protagonist more than I can with an underwhelming antagonist in a lot of ways. Where it's like, I can let characters like Rex go a little bit, where I'm like, I can let you go. The protagonist
usually has a supporting cast that will pick up the slack, where if your villain sucks, then it's like, why do I care? Why do I care about this problem?
No, very true. Very true. But no. Hey, Kyle, have you got anything to bounce off of this?
I
we can just go in a completely different direction. It's up to you.
I was going to say, since we've got FF6 on the chopping block, I can finally get to addressing my favorite character ever of all time.
Oh God, no pressure.
It's Celeste from FF6.
Okay, guys. Now, for audio listeners who have not played it, let me just really quickly get an image of Celeste from Final Fantasy VI on Google, because I also don't know. That's not Neo Cortex in the background, guys. Let me tell you. But let me tell you, just so you need to know what she is. She's blonde and she's a magic user. There you go. Well done, guys. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Am I right, Kyle? Am I right? Or is it the fact that in pixel form and zoomed out with a blurry webcam, she sometimes looks like Neo Cortex? Is that the real reason?
Yeah, dude,
in one very specific scene, because she doesn't wear those clothes at any other point in time.
Oh, true. It's just because she's in the lab. Back to the lab again, dude.
Back to the lab again.
Such a stupid meme, dude. Literally so stupid. I'm not a Smash fan yet. That was all over my timeline, and I was laughing. And I'm like, I'm not even the intended audience to this, but just seeing all the replies and all of those tweets just being back to the lab again with the stupid fucking emojis.
Dexter.
Like, oh, so stupid. Anyway, so Celeste.
Yeah. So Celeste kind of falls into one of my favorite trope of characters, which is villain to hero.
Oh, I thought you were going to say blonde to magic.
Blonde and hot, also a good combination.
No, horny list is not yet. You guys have to earn the horny list. 200 subscribers. Then you'll get that
70
list.
more.
70 more. Get your friends, dude. Get your friends. If you want the cultured tier list, that costs extra. That costs 200. Blackmailing.
We need some kind of middle incentive for 150.
The middle incentive.
A middle incentive.
Well, yeah, 70 is like a long way to go, but if you got one at 150, it'll encourage people to, jump on the train. Because that's not that far.
Yeah. Why do we always do this like in the middle of the fucking podcast? Like we should do this before and then advertise it in the first 3 minutes.
Honestly, though.
Because now if in the next episode I just say horny list at 200, people are gonna be like, what the fuck does that mean? Like,
wait, what did I miss?
What did I miss? God, that must have been a swell episode of the HGO podcast, dude. Wow. I don't know.
So
I feel like
a villain to hero character.
Yeah. Let's get back on topic.
Back on topic. Her general role in the story is that, at least at the start, she opposes. She's part of the enemy army.
The Empire.
The Empire. Thank you, Hunter. Thank you, Hunter.
Have you played this game, Kyle? Have you played this game?
Oh, once or twice.
Are you using just character design to think about make your choices again, Kyle? God damn it.
I would never.
No.
But no, she's really cool because I like that she kind of like opposes the Empire's mentality, where she kind of sees how shitty things are. What's up, Ethan? What's wrong with you?
I'm sorry. I'm just like, I don't know why. I've lost all sense of anything for you, because every time you say something, I just think that you were gonna say she's blonde and hot for every reason. Like when you were like, the reason I like her is, and in my head I was about to say he's gonna say she's blonde and she's a magic user.
Ethan, I've already done that joke.
I know, right? But
we never reuse jokes here.
It's true.
Come on.
We're brand
It
new.
wouldn't be a very swell thing to do.
It would be very unswell.
Yeah. Anyway, so you like her because she's this villain. She has opposing ideologies from the group, and then I assume over the course of the game, she changes her perspective. She has a new perspective on things. And sides with the allies.
Yeah,
and that makes her very interesting.
So then,
and I'm not saying that in a sarcastic way, by the way.
It's done a lot better than how I'm describing it.
Yeah.
Because...
She starts out already ideologically opposed to the Empire. She was like mid-defection when the party member who finds her discovers her. And then she has to deal with this whole rigmarole of, you know, the rest of that half of the game having most of the people
filing
not trust her.
paperwork, you know, you've got to give you 1 month notice, and that takes a while, guys, you know, it's like you can't just leave.
Yeah, so the rest of the group is constantly distrusting of her because she used to be an Empire general. So, and like, I don't know, maybe she killed one of their friends. I don't remember if that's ever a plot point, but it's a possibility, you know? People die.
Cyan's actively against her.
Well, Cyan's a tool.
But you don't like Cyan? You know, that's fair. He's definitely like a middling character for me too.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough, dude. That's fair enough. Who's are you? What else you got?
I was gonna say, she's also just like part of a lot of my favorite scenes from that game. One being the opera scene, which is where that Lego sprite in the background came from, the Neocortex sprite.
It's true. It's a good Neocortex sprite.
And then
she's the one who goes and gathers up the party in part 2 of the game.
In the second half of the game, she, again, Final Fantasy VI and its ever-changing protagonist. Yeah. She takes the role of main character for a little while, and she's the one that...
So she was the Black Widow that got the group back together after Endgame, that started the whole thing. Wow, dude, Feige? I think we just learned something here.
That's why they dyed Black Widow's hair blonde, right?
It all makes sense, dude.
Yeah, what the Feige, we've got you, bro. We've got you. I'm writing the lawsuit up as we speak, dude. Japan loves a lawsuit. That's all I'm saying.
Every great work of art has a cheap imitation.
I mean, to be fair, Endgame is very much the inferior movie compared to Infinity War, but you know, don't want to cause some drama here.
Never. You preach it.
It is. Endgame's mid, dude. Endgame's mid. You guys need to learn that a cool fight scene at the end does not make a good Marvel movie. Just saying. Just saying.
It makes for a good theater experience, and that's about it.
It was an incredible theater experience. Definitely, like one of my probably my favorite.
Oh yeah, that's never happening again.
Top 2 moments in like my theater history. And they're always those epic, like, cinematic... It's probably number 1, to be fair. Number 2 is I watched the Doctor Who 50th anniversary in the cinema, and that was also fucking epic. Basically, anything that's, like, fan, like, service is great in theaters. Shit in retrospect. Actually, Day of the Doctor's pretty good, but, you know. No, I like that pick. And I also, like I say, I do like interesting characters that aren't one note, that do kind of change and align over the course of video games. I like that. I like that quite a bit. Hunter, I'm going to bounce back to you because, like I say, I'm trying to think of things
come
here.
up with anyone.
I can't come up with anything that's a good, like, continuation, if that makes sense. Like, I can come up with some characters, right? But I also don't want to just scream weeb shit because I do want to say
that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, and that's why I'm trying to stay away in a way, because it's like, I don't actually play that many JRPGs or anything like that.
All right.
So...
Kyle's last choice was the blonde magic user. Let's jump to the opposite end of the spectrum there. Morrigan from Dragon Age is the gothy witch magic user.
That's not the opposite of the fucking spectrum. It's the opposite of the colour spectrum,
We know what we like, Ethan.
God damn it, you horny fuckers. 200 subscribers, wait.
But yeah, Morrigan's story is... It's a trope that I tend to enjoy when it's well done. It's the typical, like, defrosting the person who hates everyone kind of story. Like, you know, you recruit her, and it's very begrudging at first, but she grows to respect your character, however you play them, because of how strong they are. And that respect leads into generally kind of hating everyone else in the party a little less, except for Alistair, because those two are going to hate each other forever. But... She's also in the Dragon Age series the person who gets like the most interesting stuff to do, like in general. Like, unless you specifically play the game a way to avoid this happening, she will probably have a child that has the soul of an old god in it. So that's cool. And she shows up again in Inquisition and it's still really cool. Just every time she shows up, interesting things happen after already having a really good story in the first game.
No, that's fair enough. And again, another kind of classic trope in a way, but when it's well done, I really do.
When it's well done, it's well done.
And
it works really well.
I can bounce off it.
Similar character happened in Tales of Arise, and she was great.
Hey, I can bounce off it, dude. That's a great one, because let me bounce off it real quick, because I've got something for this one.
Oh, nice.
And you haven't played it yet, so I don't want to delve too much into it, but a great character of a kind of stiff, like kind of stone cold personality to start with, but when you get to know them, you actually realize that they're probably one of the, like, a great character, is Arthur Morgan from Red Dead Redemption 2. He is the definition of this, because one Red Dead Redemption 1 is one of my favorite games of all time, always will be. Red Dead 2 is also fantastic, and it's up there. I swap between them all the time. But when Red Dead 2 was being announced and being road up to the release, I'm like, I don't think there's any way they could possibly make a character better than John Marston that from the first game that I think could rival him in terms of a protagonist. I don't think I could get attached. I don't think there could be a better character. And then they fucking one-up him in like every single way in Arthur Morgan from Red Dead 2. He is, personally, if you talk about that kind of game, right? I'm not like, when you talk about that kind of video game, the Rockstar kind of video game, in terms of realistic, kind of very much down to earth characters with those kinds of graphics and visuals and stuff, that kind of storytelling, it's the Western kind of RPG storytelling that I'm talking about here. I don't think you can find a better character or a better protagonist than you can with Arthur Morgan. He is just fantastic, and it's possibly like, it's the one thing where when you had the Red Dead Redemption versus God of War at the Game Awards in 2018, and Red Dead won everything except for Game of the Year, basically. It was like, I believe that, I'm going to have to look up, did they win 2018 for Best Performance? I feel like they did.
Roger Clark,
his
name was? Yeah, he did.
Yeah, and it was well fucking deserved, because it's probably the best performance I've ever seen in a video game. And this is coming from someone that's never done video game work before, which is 2 for 2 with Red Dead, because John Marston was also somewhat... the guy that played John Marston never did anything really before Red Dead, and then he pulled that performance out of his fucking arse, as we were saying earlier.
That's amazing.
But no, he is very much your reserved, kind of emotionless cowboy trope character. But as the game carries on, and as the story continues, and as you get to know the characters and the members of this gang more and more, his character changes, but not in a way where it's obvious, but you just understand him more, and it's like very subtle.
You just have
in the way that it
understanding
changes,
of him at the end than you do.
Where you realize that the opinions that you have at the beginning probably weren't right, and that he's not really, it's not this dramatic shift. He doesn't become an empathetic character at the end of it. He's not like stone cold turning out like into this really caring character. He's always been that way. He's just held his emotions back, and he just goes through this whole kind of tragic kind of situation that is Red Dead Redemption 2's story of this whole end of the West kind of scenario. And it's such a great performance. And to be fair, we'll probably bring this up in the future, because one of the future topics that we're doing this month is games that made you cry. And Red Dead 2 and Red Dead 1 are both games that have done this. And it's just that way of storytelling. A lot of times in games and stuff like that, and just in performances in general, it's never really the story that gets you. It's always the performance, and it's always the characters, right? Written on paper, you can read something, an obvious spoiler, and you won't feel anything really. You'll be like, oh, that sucks or whatever, but you don't feel anything. But seeing that performance can just dramatically change anything, right? Where it's like, oh, that's what did it. And Roger Clark's performance is one of those where it's just like, honestly, it's incredible, and I'm still surprised that he has not been in really anything since, because Jesus Christ. I feel like people need to hire the cast of Red Dead more because they're all phenomenal actors. And when you compare it to GTA, which is very over the top and wacky and zany, Red Dead is some of the finest storytelling ever. And when people moan about GTA, I'm like, no, do more Red Dead. It's more story. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Just do more of that. It's fantastic. I love it. Anyway, I'm done fawning over Roger Clark's performance.
Yeah. I didn't play Red Dead Redemption 2 yet, but I've seen a lot of the major beats just because like every one of my siblings have played it while I've been around. So I've been like, I'll get to you someday because this does look like a story that I will enjoy. But the dude does a great job at his role, and I did get to see like different parts of the story, so having a different understanding of him even though I don't have like the path from A to B, I still have the different things there, like pieces of it, so it was interesting to see him kind of in a different light.
It's honestly, it's honestly fantastic. And as someone who I'm still holding out for that next gen patch, I genuinely am. That's like the number one on my list of please fucking make a PS5, Xbox Series X version of this game, because I want to go back and play that game so badly. But also, I'd love it to play at a good frame rate. Like, that's my one dream.
Yo, Rockstar, if you could
like
do that in like
Rockstar
the
game,
next month, that would actually be kind of perfect. I'd still have time to do all of it.
It won't happen in the next month. I'm hoping it might happen. I feel like it will. I feel like Rockstar are the kind of people that will. They love remastering and making double dipping. They've triple
look at
dipped
how
on
many
GTA.
times. Yeah.
I feel like it's only a matter of time. My hope is they also bring back Red Dead 1 at some point, because that game's fucking
that'd be cool. I'd love to play. I'd love an excuse to play that again.
Honestly,
something that's not a PlayStation 3.
I think Red Dead Redemption 1 might be my most replayed video game of all time. And it's scary because I don't know how many times I've replayed that video game. I think I played through it
at least 12.
And you're not someone who replays games.
Yeah, and I think I've replayed through the entirety of Red Dead Redemption 1 like 6 or 7 times. Like, I think it's like
oh man.
And it's not a short game either. It's like a 20-30-hour game.
It's chunky.
It's
not like
it came out at the right
JRPG
time
chunky,
in my
it's...
It came out at the right time in my life where I just adored it, right? And it's just always holds a special place in my heart. That's why I always love it when people are like, we love Rockstar because we love GTA. I'm like, no, I love Rockstar because I love Red Dead Redemption. We are not the same. We are not the same.
We are not the same.
Anyway, moving on. Back to you, Kyle. What have you got?
All right. So let's take a quick dive into the world of fighting games.
Oh God,
baby.
I'm a head out. Bye.
All right.
Did someone
so
say
Guilty
bye
Gear
again?
Strive, or Guilty Gear as a franchise, is very wacky. I don't know what
Scorpion's not
Daisuke
in that game.
I don't know what Daisuke was smoking when he came up with the idea for his characters and the lore, especially. But he's the kind of wacky person who, for like every game in the story, he's like, what if I just take my characters and I just beat the shit out of them emotionally all the time? And I think that's most exemplified with the character of Zato.
The Berserk approach.
So, Zato is a character who's been around since Guilty Gear 1, the very first game. He is a veteran character. And his idea is that he was part of this assassin guild where he traded his sight in exchange for this little shadow creature that's like a parasite to fight alongside with him. The shadow creature's name is Eddie, by the way.
Eddie's great. I've seen him.
Eddie is so cool.
You're my only friend, Eddie. Sorry, I've just got Venom in my head now.
Ethan, it's really funny you say that because Guilty Gear has a character named Eddie and a character named Venom.
Of course they do.
Daisuke is fucking weird, dude.
Nice, yeah.
But anyways, so in Guilty Gear 1, it starts with Zato and Eddie like being this tag team. You know, Zato controls Eddie to attack. And then in a story, Eddie basically ends up taking control of Zato. And so Zato's girlfriend, Melia, has to basically kill Zato to try and get the parasite out of him. This doesn't work.
I feel like this is Venom
and-
3. Right notes, guys. I feel like this is Venom 3.
This doesn't work, and Eddie just ends up basically turning Zato into a walking corpse.
Oh, nice.
So,
Zombie.
for like the next
Yeah.
3 games until Strive, Zato's just this living corpse, this basically reanimated corpse controlled by Eddie, until some shit happens off screen in Strive, and now he's just like a regular guy, and him and Eddie are chill now.
A perfectly normal guy, but his shadow will kill you.
Happening off screen and out of game. What is this? Fucking Overwatch? What? Like, come on. Dude.
I mean, it's a fighting game without a dedicated story mode, so of course it happened off screen. That's how everything happens in those games.
Dude, in Strive, he and Millie are working for the government now.
Of course.
And
What
like
even is the
Zato's...
government in Guilty Gear? What does that even
That's
mean?
a really good question, dude.
Are they a republic? Are they a theocracy?
Who knows? Sorry, my cable
Honestly,
got
I
stuck
watched
into
the
my
whole
chair.
story of Strive. It was like
Is
four
it
and
a
a half
totalitarian
hours.
regime? 4.5 hours? Jeez.
Jeez,
Soul
that's
Calibur
long.
was
It's
out of
all just a
control.
movie, dude. There's no gameplay.
Hell yeah, bro. That's it. Now that's my kind of game. I love
But yeah,
not playing.
Zato's just really cool. He's a character that I like more for his lore rather than his gameplay, but I'm kind of upset that I don't know how to use him like everyone else can, but you know,
Yeah,
he's got
but
a
at
cool
least you get to smack people with dolphins or whatever.
Yeah. If we were going off of favorite playstyle, May would make the list, but she's like the opposite Zato, where she has 0 plot significance, and she
Hooray.
just exists.
Fair enough.
But yeah, Sato's cool, and I like his theme song in Strive. It does the cool thing where it explains it explains his story through song.
Oh, it's
Which,
Metal
like-
Gear Rising music.
Which, like, you do that, you've already got me hooked. That's my favorite trope with music. It's like, you want a 6-minute ballad explaining everything about this character? Here you fucking go. Here's Guilty Gear. We got it.
Nice. Nice. Hunter.
All right. Kyle said something about, 4 hours of movies and no playing games, so that seems like a pretty good segue into bringing up Solid Snake.
Oh, for God's sake. Metal Gear.
Solid Snake is my favorite character in everything ever. He is just the best. In the first game, he starts out as like this deconstruction of the typical kind of action hero, like action movie hero. And from then on, he grows into, in the following games that he's in, just being just this really solid character throughout.
He said the thing.
I
He did the
true.
thing.
David
Play the
Hayter's
laugh track.
David Hayter's performance backs this up like impeccably the whole time.
Mm.
Like, he's one of those characters similar to kind of like how you were talking about with Arthur Morgan, where he seems very much just gruff and distant at first, but the more the more you play the series, the more you have a understanding of who he is and the way he thinks, and it's really cool in that regard. Like in 2, there's this part towards the end where one character's like, "Oh, you're only going to be remembered for like the good part of what you did, saving the world and all that." And his response was, "There's no right part of murder." And that's really cool because he does what he needs to do, but he doesn't like try to use the greater good as a shield for his culpability in killing people. And I really respect that. Also, he's really good at like emboldening people who need it, like his buddy Otacon. He gives Otacon something to do towards the end of 2, and he's like, "I need you to do this. I'm counting on you." That probably made Otacon. That probably boosted his self-esteem like several notches.
Nice. No, I do like Solid Snake. Obviously, I haven't played Metal Gear. It's one of those games that I'm still waiting to play. I'm really hoping that with the new PlayStation Premium bollocks, whatever the fuck it's called, I'm really hoping that the original Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 and 3 are on there, just so that there's an easy way to play Solid 1, 2, and 3. Because I own a PS3, fine. I'll go and find a copy for like £2 or whatever and play it, fine. I don't mind that, going through those hoops. But I just want an easy way to play most of them. Because I know, don't get me, I know the fucking trilogy, I know you can get them, but it's just like, I just want them on PlayStation 5 just easily, or PS4 just easily.
Yeah, I understand. I have copies of like, I have a PS3 with the first game on it.
Mm-hmm.
I have a copy of the HD collection that has 2, 3, and Peace Walker, and I have 4. So I have the whole series at my disposal for me to constantly be like, you have to play something else, because if you just play these, you're going to play them forever. But, you know, I still would like for it to be easily available on the newer stuff as well, just because it's a matter of convenience there. No,
I definitely agree. You know, let's use this as a jumping off board. Speaking of PS3, wow, what a great segue. No,
what a great start to the sentence.
Yeah, I feel like this is ironic bringing up this fucking long running oversaturated fucking franchise up in this, but I feel like it has to be said just because of how significant this character was on video games in this generation. But I'm just gonna say it because, yeah, Gex. The series, yes, Gex, guys, what a riot! PS3 icon,
well known for his PS3 classics.
Everybody loves Gex, dude. But no, it's Ezio, dude. Ezio, Ezio Auditore is quite possibly one of the most iconic video game characters ever created, and I feel like for a lot of people who haven't played Assassin's Creed 2 and have just jumped on the bandwagon of hating Assassin's Creed, like Assassin's Creed fans have jumped on the bandwagon of hating Assassin's Creed, don't truly understand about what a significant game
they
Assassin's
don't get
Creed
that
2
Ezio was actually really good.
And how significant of a video game Assassin's Creed 2 was for just video games in general. I feel like Assassin's Creed 2 was where Ubisoft made Ubisoft games. Like, that's where the Ubisoft kind of formula came from, in a way.
It's
like,
where it's where the modern sandbox blueprint kind of expanded beyond what Grand Theft Auto did the generation.
Oh, hell yeah. And I feel like it doesn't get the respect that it kind of deserves in that regard. I mean, you can say what you want, right? Because I feel like a million developers and a million games copied that formula and beat it to death.
And they sure did. So it's easy to forget sometimes where the point of origin starts, but
I feel like one day
was important.
And I feel like one day we'll get the same way with like other games. I feel like it's only a matter of time before we do. And I mean, we're already starting to get like, what if people Breath of the Wild X franchise? And it's like, I feel like one day we're going to get to the point where big massive worlds where nothing is labeled will get boring and stale. In the same way with big massive worlds that have got everything labeled has become stale now. But I feel like when people talk about games that change, like that redefine stuff, they'll bring up the same ones, right? You'll always bring up Doom. You'll always bring up Breath of the Wild. People will probably bring up Elden Ring, even though it did nothing fucking new. People will bring up
Final Fantasy VII probably gets tossed out a lot. Mario 64.
Definitely. And I feel like one of those games that should be on that list that people don't talk about is Assassin's Creed 2. But fuck the game off for a second. Just Ezio as a character is just fantastic. Like, honestly.
It is really good, man.
If you have no interest in Assassin's Creed, then that's fair play. But if you were like, okay, Ethan, if someone points a gun to my head and tells me you need to play an Assassin's Creed game or you're going to die, play Assassin's Creed 2, because it genuinely is a fantastic story. That just happens to be in a series that has been long saturated and long needing some fucking time off, frankly. But no, Ezio is just he's genuinely fantastic. And was it Roger Craig who played Ezio? No,
Roger Craig Smith.
Was Roger Craig Smith Ezio?
Sonic?
Yeah, I think he is, isn't he?
What?
Yeah. I think it is Roger Craig, right?
That's how I knew him. I didn't know he was doing Sonic until way later.
Boom, he did Sonic. He's been Sonic since Boom, but yeah, it is Roger Craig Smith. I thought it was.
Yeah,
you know, it's one of those things where I'm like, I know this, but then you think that you don't. But no, saying
like
that's
philosophy.
Saying that is
yeah.
Saying that is Roger Craig Smith's like best performance. It's fucking fantastic.
It sure is, man.
He is fantastic. But no, the whole story of Ezio I love to pieces, and I still do.
It's
hold a
super
soft
respectable that they managed to like tell a complete story in 2, and then he continues to be good in the following ones.
That's the thing, is it very much is a thing where if 2 was the only time you saw Ezio, that would have been fine. And it's like you play Brotherhood, you hear that they're doing Brotherhood, and you're like, okay, I don't know how I feel about this. I like they did leave some loose ends in 2, but I'm like, oh, they could have very much happily have left it. But then when you play 2, you're like, oh no, that adds to the story, and I still like it. And then Revelation, she's like, oh come on, now they're just fucking milking it. But then because it's an older Ezio and you actually get the kind of conclusion to his life and his arc, you're like, oh no, that also feels justified as well. And it kind of makes me laugh because they managed to do that
and then by the
with
time
a
they get
single
to
assassin, but with every subsequent game, they make it feel like the franchise is bloated and we don't need any more of it. And they keep changing the setting and the character each time. You're like, nope, still bloated, still don't want it.
By the time you get to 3, you're like, oh, this guy sucks.
Yeah.
I miss Ezio.
Yeah, genuinely. But no, Ezio is fantastic, and there's a reason. I feel like there's a reason that he's very much iconic, and
there's a reason the series caught on in the first place, you know.
And let's just the Assassin's Creed 2 theme is the Assassin's Creed theme, not the Assassin's Creed 1 theme. Let's just get this into perspective.
I couldn't tell you what the music in that game was.
The theme that they reuse in all subsequent Assassin's Creeds is called Ezio's theme. It is Assassin's Creed 2's theme.
He's more well known than the dork in the modern times, even.
Desmond Miles.
Yeah.
Do you know what I realized, Hunter? Fun fact, spoilers for Assassin's Creed if you still give a shit. They've brought back Desmond.
What?
Yeah. In the latest Assassin's Creed, the new protagonist goes like into like the heart of the Animus or whatever, and there's still a remnant of his like soul still in the Animus, and they brought Nolan North back and everything. They brought fucking Sean Hastings and Rebecca back as well for the main story, and I'm like, fair play, because I love Danny Wallace in anything, but I'm like, oh god, have they really dug that at the bottom of the barrel of Assassin's Creed that much that they're going, you know, what if we did bring Desmond back? Like, that's how low we've got, is let's fucking bring the dead guy back.
All 10 of the people who actually cared about his story.
Yeah, it's fucking, I was one of them, to be fair. But it was like Mr. Krabs, it's like the Mr. Krabs digging up the grave.
Am I about to defile this grave for money?
Let's get him out.
Of course I am.
Let's get him out. But no, as much of a meme and a joke as Assassin's Creed is, I do still love Ezio, and he's a very good character. Anyway, what's next?
I don't know. How long do you guys want to do this for?
We can do at least one more round. We can do at least one more round.
We're past the hour mark.
Yeah, but we can do one more round. Come on, look at season 3, guys. Look at season 3. We've been doing longer.
We've had
episodes.
some chunky episodes.
We've been doing longer
season.
episodes, dude. I feel like we've got to keep the spirit up. We got to keep the spirit up, because if we let ourselves down now, we're basically letting ourselves down for the entirety of May and half of June. And I feel like that's like a standard that I don't want to slip into. You know?
Yeah, we can't let that happen.
No, fucking quantity
push to 2 hours,
quality,
guys.
Huddle.
That's pushing into 3x3 territory.
Huddle on the podcast.
I mean, I had 10 guys listed here, so I had more than the 3x3
I can bullshit
requirements.
everything, dude. If you had told me that I would have picked fucking Ezio at the start, I would have told you lies, so I can keep going. I've got plenty.
Your spreadsheet had 45 characters, so it's not like you have a short
60-hour podcast, guys. Settle it.
It
60 hours.
There were 30 of one and then 15 of the other. It's not that hard.
True.
All right. Hunter knows how to do math.
This nerd
Everyone
counted.
be
This
afraid.
other nerd made a spreadsheet.
Meanwhile, I'm just doing this. Like I'm like, quickly. I've got like 2 minutes to come up with something that works. Did someone say PS3? That gives me a console to work with. Anyway, go on, Cal.
Speaking of PlayStation, this is kind of a more recent favorite character, but Claire from Resi 2, she's
That's a
joy.
Oh, she's great, man.
She is just entertaining as all get out.
It's a shame there's no character in Resident Evil called Joy, or else I would have gone with the classic. That's a different character, but unfortunately, cannot do it.
But yeah, I played Resi 2 this year, the Resi 2 remake. It was a solid experience. I'm glad I did it. It was fun.
Are you a horror stan now? Do you like horror film? Are you a horror enjoyer now, Kyle?
I mean, the game wasn't really that scary.
Are you ready to join me on the darker side of things?
Nah, dude. Pussy
Not
Nation,
quite.
rise up, dude.
Not quite.
What was scarier, Resident Evil 2 or Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Kyle? Which one was scarier?
Resi 2.
Okay. We're gonna get a scale of whenever Kyle does anything that's remotely horror, we're gonna have the Kyle horror chart. Where it's like,
it was a battle of Mr. X gonna give it to you versus Professor X gonna give it to you.
that would have been, to be fair, I feel like I would have gone and watched Doctor Strange 2 in the cinema if, like, Deadpool did show up and then played X Gonna Give It To You as fucking Patrick Stewart rolls in.
That would have been really good.
But I specifically want Ryan Reynolds to
really
be doing the performance of X Gonna Give It To You. Like, he just fucking opens up a wormhole and that's it, dude. The music starts playing. He's got the beatbox on his fucking shoulders, dude. Like, let's go. Got the boombox, let's go. Ugh. Anyway. So, Resident Evil 2 is a video game that was developed in 1990 whatever for PlayStation 1.
Came out in 98.
98?
Yo, so did I.
Good. Congrats, you have the same birthday as Leon and Claire.
Huzzah!
Came out in 1998, dude. Physically,
That's not incorrect.
Yeah, true.
So why is Claire so good, Kyle?
Honestly, I think this is more a case of just the voice actress doing a damn good job with the character.
Hell
Like,
yeah.
It's very true.
Stephanie does wonderful, wonderful work with Claire. Her performance got me really invested in Claire's shenanigans through the story.
Yeah.
And she also did the mocap too, right?
She sure did. She did like the facial capture and stuff too. So much so to the point where when that like Resident Evil Netflix animated series came out last year and I saw the last episode of that when I was hanging out with my brother, it threw me off because they were just using the basic like CG stuff with no facial capture and I was like, Claire's face is wrong.
That's weird, because they do facial capture for like everything nowadays, like genuinely. Like, especially big like budget stuff always does facial capture for everything.
I don't know if I would describe that as big
Actually,
budget.
to be fair, you're true. It's Netflix. They probably spend like $50 million on it.
All their
true.
budget went to Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, dude, what a tragedy, dude. What a tragedy.
All their budget
really.
is disappearing because people are sharing passwords.
Yeah, that's the reason why Cowboy Bebop didn't get a second series, guys. Your password shared. God damn it.
God damn it.
We had something mediocre. If they'd given it a second chance, we could have gone fully down to awful. Come on. I wish.
No, I think it would have stayed mediocre.
Yeah, probably. God, biggest
Just based off
Yeah.
the first episode.
God. Maybe one day I'll go and watch it.
Don't. If you didn't even finish the good show, you're not gonna finish this one.
Yeah, there was a part of me that was genuinely going to watch the original Netflix show just to spite Kyle in a way. I was like, imagine Kyle's feelings when I'd watch every episode of the live action one, but not like stop halfway through the animated one. And I was like, I can't even do this as a joke. I got 10 minutes into the live action. I'm like, I can't even do this as a joke. I'm turning this off. Like,
Dude, I watched the whole first episode.
he did more than me. I
It
watched
was
the
the
first.
slowest episode of TV I ever watched.
I watched the first scene, and then I got to the point where they showed the title screen, and I was like,
Man.
"Yeah, title screen's still cool." And then I stopped, and I was like, "Shame."
I
on
saw-
Yeah, because
like-
Tank is a jam.
Yeah.
I saw bits and pieces of it because my brother was watching that while I was like, I'm not interested. I'm going to play my Switch. So I would occasionally glance up. From what I could gather, they ripped off the intro to the movie for the
They
first
did.
episode and did it half as well.
They
They
sure
introduced
did.
Faye too early and did that not nearly as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then they made the ending of the episode way too chatty.
Yep.
Nice. Didn't
The
get
whole
that
show
far.
was too chatty.
Well, I feel like the reason that it was too chatty, and I mean, I'm just using my
Because
analogy
Americans
here.
have small brain.
No, it's not. I
no
think the
attention
reason. No, I
span.
feel the reason that it was so chatty is because chatty's cheap. And what I
Yeah.
mean by that is a lot of criticisms of more modern Doctor Who is it's all talk, no fucking substance, and it's because it's
Yeah.
easier to do talking than it is to actually do a story that requires some effort, right? It's like
Yeah,
and
dude.
doing some
Show
shots. that
don't
require
tell is
some
very
show don't tell.
difficult.
It is. It is
It
really
is.
difficult.
It is, actually.
And it's like this.
So
it's a hard line to draw sometimes as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, video games.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
what?
the performances in the Resi 2 remake do a really good job of carrying like what would be a pretty by the numbers kind of horror story.
They really do, because even like playing
like,
through Leon's story, I didn't really give much of a care about Leon. But I'm like,
he's a very basic character.
Yeah,
in 2.
but I'm like this
4
is
was when he
interesting
levels
enough
up to
of
being
what's going on.
cool.
Yeah, what's going on is interesting enough to make me keep going.
Yeah, mixed with like just the whole atmosphere of what you're doing. You want to see these people through to the end, just because you feel like they deserve to. Even like in the remake of 3, Jill was the same way. I don't remember particularly liking her in the first version of 3. I was like, she was okay. And then in the remake, I'm like, man, I actually do like you. Good for you.
That's the other thing Resi 2, like the remake, did really well. Like, I went in next to no knowledge about Resident Evil. And I played that game perfectly fine. I understood everything that happened.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Yeah.
very, very newcomer friendly.
No. I don't know.
game.
If I ever do
Don't
play
regret
Resident
playing
Evil, it'll probably be that one.
Yeah, the 2 remake is a good like climbing on point.
Well, yeah, because I own 2 remake and
You do?
3 remake. I think I did own 7 at one point, but I think my dad got rid of it. 'Cause I can't
Oh,
find it.
you have it on the PlayStation Plus collection.
Oh
though.
boy! I love my PlayStation Plus collection. My favorite part of the PlayStation Plus collection is how you can genuinely just be like, "Yo, mate, do you want me to sign in on your PlayStation account on my PS5 and add the games to the library for you so you can get a load of free games?" Because you can do that.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. You didn't hear that from me, though, and Sony, please, don't you come after me. I didn't do it. All my friends were saddos and bought PS5s on day one. We were all sitting there with UFOs with nothing to play on. I'm going, yes, this is the future. Astro's Playroom.
It's just like Netflix password sharing.
Yeah, exactly. But we're all just sitting there singing the GPU song from Astro, dude. We're just all sitting there, way, we got no fucking games. Woo! Oh, dear. Anyway, Hunter, good luck transitioning from that one. You got anything?
So, if we're talking favorite characters, I feel like I can't just not talk about Dante, seeing as how half the time you see me on this podcast, I'm wearing a red coat of some variety. And I wonder where I got that notion from.
This is your brain on DMC.
Essentially, it's when you get broken as a child and then just don't let it go.
Yeah, I do want to see the Hunter TikTok trend from when he was like a kid, where it's like, this is one day of me being on DMC and just turning into him. Like, that's it, dude. It's just, like, starts with like a red t-shirt and then like, I don't know, maybe
it was like a black shirt with a red hoodie at first. And then I got my own money and my own resources and still didn't care. And that's how I got the coat.
Yeah.
No God. Someone stop that man.
No one can stop me now. But yeah, Dante is funny.
You cannot kill me.
Yeah, I am subhuman. Dante's funny because half the time he isn't super like well written if you're taking it case by case in the games. Because like in 2, he's not great because he's like mute mostly, and they don't do a good job of like, it was a PS2 game, so it's not like they could have a great job of emoting for him. About that. And 3 is where people will think of his personality always being like the wacky party guy surfing on rockets and wisecracking and all that. And it's good enough because he develops throughout the game. He's a good foil to Virgil. And he gets to the point where he is in 1, which was kind of like, typical action hero kind of thing with just a little bit more depth to it. By the time you get all 5 of the main games, you do have a good idea of who he is and how he thinks. And he's also really enjoyable to watch do his thing most of the time. And a major dork.
Yeah.
It's great.
Like, I've said this on the show before, but I feel like a lot of people kind of short sell the story of DMC, where they kind of just write it off as typical action tropes. But there is a lot more substance to the story and the characters than people give
It's one of
credit
those
to.
things where it's never the reason that I would tell someone to play. I wouldn't be like, oh, if you like stories and video games, go play Devil May Cry. But if you do play the Devil May Cry games, you will probably become attached to the story because it's well done enough to where if you're exposed to them enough, you'll be like, yeah, I like you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because now, like, kind of contrasting off of this, my favorite character is Virgil from those games, which I feel like this is very telling of who Hunter and I are as people, that these are the two characters we associate with in these games. We've definitely got that red Oni, blue Oni vibe going.
Virgil is really cool in his own respects.
Yeah.
And yeah. Also, if you want to see what it's like, what an actually poorly written Devil May Cry game is, where the charm is kind of sapped from the characters, that's what Ninja Theory's game was like.
Heyo.
Like, the way I always describe it is if Dante in the original series was like what a typical teenage boy's idea of cool is, the rebooted version is if that teenage kid actually tries to be cool. It does not work out.
How was the reboot, actually? Because I've heard, like, the gameplay is pretty solid.
The gameplay is, like, I respect what they were going for in the gameplay. Like, I still say that overall the reboot is worth your time if you like the games. Because the gameplay is good if you play, like, the version that's on the PS4. Don't play the original PS3 version. But the gameplay is good, but the world and the story are lacking in most regards. Like, the personality and fun in the characters is gone, and it's just kind of like, it's like they just took it doesn't have the typical PS3 era grayscale, but it's like they put that grayscale on the personality of the characters, if that makes any sense to you. Because, visually speaking, the DMC reboot, when it gets all crazy in the demon world, is actually very vibrant. And that's one of the things I respect about that world, is that it takes mundane scenarios and makes them wacky, and I like that. But as far as the rest of the world and story, not great.
You know, I hate you because you're like a respectful fan. Because it's like literally any other person for any other franchise, like they'd be like, get the fucking stakes out, get the fucking pitchforks, get the torches. We're hunting people down. Try to go skewer. And the fact that you can be such like a diehard fan of a franchise and then have this like controversial game in the middle of it and go, I respect it for all the stuff. I'm like, God, I wish like everybody in every community was like you, Hunter, because the world would just be a better place. Twitter would be such a nicer place if there wasn't people like everybody that is on there. Like, they're just tragic and toxic.
I don't hate 2 as much as everyone else does too. Like, I wouldn't ever tell anyone to go and play 2 unless they were really curious, because it is boring. But retrospectively looking at it, it is interesting to see where like the building blocks of what the series would become is at. And Dante's outfit in that game is really cool.
No, fair enough. Dante's just really cool. He's just, I relate to him.
This is arguably his best.
Fucking cool.
That's arguably his best outfit.
Just very fucking cool, guys. Just very.
That's what they used for his appearance in SMT3.
Yeah, that's probably because I don't think DMC3 existed yet.
Probably not.
So it was just the most recent one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's for the better. His outfit in 3, his whole appearance in 3 wasn't great.
Dude doesn't wear a shirt.
That's not the problem. The problem is his holster acting like a man bra and his stupid J-Rock haircut.
Fair enough.
I don't like his design in 3 very much.
No, fair enough. I do not know where to transition from this or where to even go, to be honest. I don't know where to go. Like,
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic the Hedgehog's fantastic. No, because I feel like there's a load of characters. When you're talking about greatest characters of all time and stuff like that, greatest performances and stuff like that, we talked about best performances and stuff like that before. But it's like, I feel like there's so many ways to go, right? Where it's like great characters and stuff like that. I feel like there's the obvious ones that we're not talking about, like mainly if we go over to the Sony first party land and go, okay, You know, you've got Joel, you've got Ellie, you've got those great.
It would be
performances.
disingenuous of me to pick them.
Same.
for
That's
what
how
I'm
I
talking
feel.
about.
That's also how I feel. Same. 'Cause,
Like
they're
Ellie
great
and Joel are
characters.
really good characters and good games, but also The Last of Us isn't topping like my top 10 of anything ever. So
You know, same. And it's
Yeah.
like I'd go the exact same way with like Kratos and stuff like that, because like I hated fucking Kratos. I fucking despised Kratos before God of War 2018. I absolutely hated God of War.
he as a character was not good.
I didn't like. Yeah.
There were
I'm
good
not a
things
hack and
about
slash
it
guy.
sometimes, but it was buried under so much.
And
just
I'm not a hack and slash
generic
guy, so there was
testosterone
nothing.
screaming.
Yeah, there was nothing for God of War for me because it was like I don't like hack and slash action games, and I don't like Kratos, so lose. So to the point where I wasn't even planning on getting God of War 2018 until I saw everybody have a fucking freak out over it, and I was like, okay. And then I see what you do, and I'm like, I like that. I like that a lot. Thank you. More of this. Potentially in 2022. Who knows?
Who knows?
I don't know. Like, I genuinely don't know where to go from this, because it's like when you're talking about, like you were talking about, you know, Snake being your favorite character of all time and stuff like that, or you're talking about Dante like having a personal effect on you, dressing in the way you do and just attacking like that, right?
Devil May Cry and whatever weird respect made me who I am today.
Yeah, and it's like I don't know where I want to go with this, because it's like all the characters that affected me on a personal level, which is like not necessarily, hey guys, now I want to wear fucking dope ass clothes and look like whatever the fuck Hunter looks like. Very cool. I don't know. It's just like characters, like, and sometimes like my favorite characters in games, people are like, why is that character? And I'm just like, because of the emotional resonance, not like that.
Here, let's try.
What?
Who's your favorite character in a game you've played recently?
I fucking hate every game I played recently, dude. Yeah, my favorite character is the Elden Ring in Elden Ring, bro.
That's Elden Ring.
That's my favorite. No, because it was like, because I was going along this line, it's like, it's easy. I just have to go back to P5 again, guys. That's all I have to do. It's just I have to go down to the exact same generic game that I fucking love. Big Snacks, guys. That's my favorite character of all time.
Big Snacks.
All of the Big Snacks.
all of the Big Snacks.
All the Big Snacks. Or I can say Aloy. But again, Aloy, I don't truly mean it, though. That's the thing, is I like Aloy.
Yeah,
and I
fair.
respect Aloy as a character, but I also know I don't like Aloy nearly as much as Hunter likes Aloy. Or it's like...
I do like Aloy a lot. My brother does not like Aloy at all. And this is really funny.
Just beat him up about it.
I have.
Because he's wrong. Very.
He is, I know.
Very...
I hope he gets to this point in the game, or the podcast. My bad.
You're wrong, Hunter's brother.
Just has to... I hope he isn't listening and then hears me say this and rewinds. Because that's happened to him before, apparently.
I like it. Now, I'm gonna say it because it's like personal attachment, right? I'm gonna say a character that I really like from Persona 5, and people always just go, ha 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 ha, Ethan, you just went for the popular girl because you're a fucking simp. And I just want to talk about it because I don't think it gets talked about enough. And also, we'll bring this up again in the fucking horny list probably, because of course we do. 200 subs, fuckers, woohoo!
Finally.
No.
Kawakami.
Kawakami is hot. Am I right, gamers? Hell yeah.
Here, here, my brother.
Hell yeah, dude. Any teachers in the chat?
I play the story for the plot.
I play the story for the plot.
I play the game for the plot.
I
play the story for the plot.
I play the
That's a stupid sentence. I'm a stupid person.
Yo, guys, I play games for the gameplay.
Have you ever watched the book?
Rise up, dude.
For watch.
I read a book for the words, guys. Anyone else?
Oh, man.
I read a book for the reading. Am I right, gamers? Rise up. Live to live. You live your life. I'm not going to judge you.
Live.
You know what? That's my pick, dude. Is Hunter, whatever the fuck Hunter just said. There you go.
Oh, man.
No, I just don't want to
You
get
can
depressed.
follow us on Twitter.
I just don't want to get depressing. It's like, hey, cool coats. I resonated with Dante, so I have cool coats, and I don't want to be like, I liked Anne in Persona 5 because I have depression. I don't want to do that. I don't want to play that card. But I guess I will now.
An did inspire you to dress like her.
Yeah, there you go.
So
yeah,
really...
for a bit. Yeah, that's true. She is my spirit animal, dude. She is my spirit animal. No, I think the reason that Persona 5 impacted me so much, and the reason that it got me in, was because I didn't realize. I was like, okay, maybe I'll relate to Ryuji, or maybe I'll relate to the main character or whatever. But what I didn't expect was the fucking blonde girl who I just know as, oh, that's the person that fucking Twitter's a bit weird about. Like, fucking calm down. But I didn't realize that that's the character that I would relate to in the video game, because her life and a lot of what she has doesn't directly react to me, but it's very similar enough for me to be like, oh shit, that's weird. It's like the whole idea of her doing like, you know, photography and modeling and that kind of drama, that kind of performative side. And it's like, I also did that, and all of my classmates treated me like shit because I did it in the same way as that. And it's just like, it was just those kind of, and just like the not fitting in, being on your own, those kind of depressive tendencies. I was like, why the fuck am I relating to this character? Like, why? And it was just like, that's just the kind of way it was. So it's like when people are always like, oh yeah, but she's like kind of forgotten about in the first half of the game. I'm like, yeah, she kind of is after the first kind of bit of the game.
But she sure does leave an impact on you.
She leaves an impact, dude. And she definitely did. It's just like her whole story about her losing her only friend was kind of very real to me as well. Not because for those of you who don't know, which is everybody probably, I basically when we went to high school at like 11 years old, I basically lost like all of my friends I ever had at that point because I moved away, and it was like I basically lost everything and started from scratch. And again, I basically only had one or two friends, and they weren't great. And it's like I've had people who I was friends with when I was younger, they've passed away. I've lost like people like that, and it's like not necessarily like I wasn't super close with them, but it was like people that I was friends with, and it's like there was too many things. It's like it's one of those weird coincidences, and I don't know if you probably everybody's had this, where there's just a certain character in a certain game or a certain movie or a certain TV show which you relate to in a very weird way, where it doesn't necessarily actually line up. It's like I've not been fucking assaulted by fucking people, right? I've not been a victim of that kind of behavior, but it's just like when you relate to someone and what they've been through, when it's like, oh, they felt like the outcast their entire life, where they felt like they've been judged on who they are and what they like to do. It's like I've had people belittle me because I was an actor when I was a kid and judge me for all that stuff and call me a load of shit that was people thought was completely okay and very funny in 2009, guys. But nowadays you're like, that shit sucked, and it sucked when it was. And it's just like those kind of things where it's like, yeah, I can see why people like bring you back to the Makoto conversation. I can see why people like Makoto and stuff like that. But then it's like, oh, you liked Anne because you're horny. I'm like, no, it's because I was depressed when I played P5 and I related so much to the shit that she said. And it's like,
maybe it was just that she was also a really well written character,
and she was also just really well done. And also Erica,
that's not allowed.
And then also Erica Holliker is just a fucking is also incredible at what she does, and like the entire of the P5 cast is terribly talented, too talented. And it's like in a similar way, it's like and it's like it's like again, same goes for Futaba as well with her depression and stuff like that. Very much, obviously, didn't relate as much because my parents are still alive, but at the same time, it's like again, it's why P5 really did attach to me, not necessarily because of the game and the story. It was just the time and how the characters related to me in such a way that it was like that kind of propels my love for it more than I think most games. It's like I've had a favorite game of all time, you know, as we've gone through life, as everyone does, but I feel like that's the reason why that one's attached more than others have. It's just because of that
the
time
and place in your life and what it's saying.
Yeah, and it just makes the characters, you know? It's like where you are in life can very much impact and have an effect on how you perceive certain media and certain contents. Yeah. And it's like, that's completely cool. And it's like, hey, you might really love a character, and I might not, but it's also dependent on emotion and who you are.
I had a pretty similar experience with Final Fantasy VIII and the protagonist of that, Squall, where his whole story is that, yeah, he's an edgy, depressed emo boy with a cool gun sword, but also through his story, he's trying to figure out who he is and what his place in the world is. And it's like, I just really resonated with that, because when I played FF8 for the first time, I was getting ready to move out to my first year of college, and that kind of feeling of just being alone again.
Oh yeah, dude,
really,
isolation
just really
fucking
hit home.
sucks, dude. Hell yeah, I feel that. It's like, again, in 2019, I just finished uni, and it was like, okay, any uni friends that I made are practically all moving back to where they're from, and it's like, won't be really seeing them again. And it was also one of those things where my current friends, oh, we're all stopping uni now. Everyone's going to get a job. Everyone's going to move on. It's a very isolating time in your life, right? So it's like isolation can be a bitch to your mental health.
Yeah.
Dude. And it's just like, in those kinds of situations where you're feeling down, when you're feeling anxious, you're feeling unsure about everything, media and stuff like that very much attaches to you, right? And it can become your coping mechanism in a lot of ways. And it's like, definitely impacts you in that kind of way. So I 100% can see why that's the case.
This is in a bit of a different way, but if I didn't play the game Valhalla, it's the bartending game I mentioned a few weeks back. At the time I did, I probably, like, if I had played it a couple years later, it probably wouldn't stick with me as much. But the main character goes through this whole thing where she's explaining her life in college, and it was essentially, she just threw everything she had at the 4 years that she didn't enjoy. She got her thing, and she was like, but I don't actually care about this. And just 4 years of her life, poof. And at the time, I was working a job that was, mediocre pay, overworking me all the time. I was like, if I don't leave here, I am going to die here, and I will have a sad existence to have went out on, was kind of the, yeah.
No, definitely.
So that one stuck with me. It kind of got I left my job soon after that, not because of the game itself, like, dropping that revelation on me, but it got the wheels turning, and then
it got you to think,
and it continued to suck. So I was like, yeah, I should do something about this.
No, dude, definitely. And it's like, I love the impact that those kinds of experiences can have on people, It's like, I love the fact that media and, video games especially have the power to just connect with you in a way and just impact with you. And I think it's the fact that, I don't know whether it's the fact that you're physically interacting with these worlds, or whether it's the fact that they're usually longer than most movies or TV shows and stuff like that, but the fact that they can kind of accompany you on those kind of experiences and during those kind of times of uncertainty or, anxiousness or depression or whatever it is you're experiencing at the time, the fact that they can impact those in a positive way and just kind of act as a companion alongside those emotions in a way is a really powerful kind of thing. And it's sad, right? But it's like, I'm grateful for those experiences in a lot of ways, because it's like, yeah, if I wasn't depressed at the time that I played P5, I probably wouldn't like it as much, right? And it's like, it's weird to say it like that, but it's true. And it's like, it really it's an exceptional game, but it became something else to me because of the time and the place that I experienced it. In the same way that you with Final Fantasy VIII, right? Or, Hunter with Valhalla. It's like those kinds of experiences, those kind of games can definitely impact you. And it's like why I was saying earlier, it's why I don't like always just saying the obvious answers of like Ellie or Kratos or isn't Master Chief great, because it's like, they're statistically popular
what everyone
and great,
tries
right?
to say.
But to me, anyway, it's far more interesting.
People would still be like Mario, even.
Yeah, but to me, it's way more interesting to hear those stories about, hey, I liked this character because I was in a really shitty place, or I really liked this journey. And trust me, if you've enjoyed this really depressing deep dive into our psyches, you're going to love the games that made us cry or made us emotional episode in a week or two, because, geez, I feel like that's going to be a very much open book kind of experience. But
yeah,
I do love that it's like you have those experiences that are kind of unique to yourself. And some people might look at you might just be like, you weird, or what, that, or that character, really?
You good, bro?
You good? Like, you fucking okay, dude? You thinking straight? or that's a weird game to pick. And it's like, I just like those answers because it's more interesting. It just makes for a more open and honest conversation. I mean, if we were all just sitting here fucking saying Dovahkiin and fucking God knows what,
Fusra
Da, it's like, it'd just be boring, right? Everyone's had those conversations before, and it's like, it's just more fun and more open just to talk about these kinds of things.
I sure do love when Nathan Drake stole the Chaos Emerald.
Hell yeah, dude. And you know the most important thing, guys, about talking about these and being open? It's cheaper than therapy, am I right? Don't need to pay for therapy when you talk about it on a podcast, guys. Well, hey, leave your
just put it on the internet.
Put it on the internet, dude. Put it on the internet. Hey.
You know what our motto is. Free and
competent.
Free and competent. Yep. But no. Hey, if you've made it this far, why don't you guys let us know? Is there any characters we started with? Hey, what the greatest characters? But no, do you have any characters that impacted you in that way? You know, did you have any characters that the reason you love them, the reason that you think they're great, is just because of the way they impacted you at the time and the place where you were? Because that's what makes them truly special. And hey, if you liked more sad things like this, we'll be talking about this for an entire podcast at some point in the month of May, where we talk about our favorite, our most emotional moments in video games, I guess. Which I think will be more about games that made you sad because of things that happened, rather than, hey guys, I'm sad, let's talk about Halo.
Of life.
Yeah. Life was shit, guys. Let's talk about Pokemon. Oh, guys, someone stole my shiny audition. I was so upset. The battery died and my Blastoise is no longer with us. Can we get some Fs?
Sam.
Did you watch that video?
I did watch that video. It showed up on my
recommended. That was so cool, dude.
Yeah.
All the reverse engineering they had to do was so cool to get that.
Dude, is that Nick Robinson that makes those videos? He's made some good videos, dude. I love his videos
really
on the Domino's Pizza guy as well. Whatever his name is. They're epic, dude. I love the Hatsune Miku Domino's ad. What a video, dude. I genuinely... Some great YouTube recommended content Nick Robinson makes where they just show up and you're like, hell yes, I'm ready for that journey. You love to see it.
He's a guy who's got the algorithm figured out.
He's got the algorithm, yeah, because I would never in my life think about talking about the Domino's Cross Hatsune Miku app from Japan, dude. Who would? Nick would, and he's great at doing it. But there you go. Anyway, that's been our show, guys. Thank you for joining us for this epic episode of the podcast.
Deep
dive.
Fun
one, dude. It's been a fun one. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
We've gone through all the emotions, dude. We have gone through the emotions.
We really did.
We went through. I feel like we went on our own character arc here, dude. Who knows? Maybe this is the greatest character of all time, dude. Quickly, someone press the X button, then it counts as a game. We'll just be a visual novel. It's fine.
Yeah,
There you go.
The real greatest characters were the friends we made along the way.
It's true. That's the real beauty.
That really is how it goes.
That's the beauty, is this podcast has allowed us to basically have an excuse to talk every single week for like the past 111 weeks, and that's the beautiful thing. That's the beautiful thing about it. But yeah. Anyway, that's enough of us. As always, our links are on screen. Right now, you can go and follow us on Twitter at the links below if you feel like you want to. If you want to keep up to date with all the sad boy hours, there you go. Don't worry, we don't tweet depressed shit.
We don't do that anymore.
We're like the only people on Twitter that don't now, but you know, we did it before. It was cool, and then we got over it. It's fine.
I just tell you when games you should play go on sale.
Yeah, and I've just not been using Twitter as much lately. I'm not funny. I should just stop using Twitter. Maybe that's what I should just do.
You're still funnier than like 80% of the user base. So
Thank you. That. That's a good. Well, I don't know if that is a compliment, to be honest, because of the low bar that is.
It is a low bar, but
I'm just gonna start doing.
If they haven't been disqualified, neither of you.
Yeah, true. I'm just gonna do what everybody else does on Twitter and just throw out the worst jokes ever, and sometimes one of them will hit, guys. One of them will hit. Just make the same joke every day until people see it. Yeah. But no, anyway, if you don't want to keep up with my shitty jokes, that's very cool. You can go and follow us on Twitter at HotGamersOnly, or subscribe to us on YouTube at youtube.com/HotGamersOnly. And hey, if you don't want to look at our stupid faces, that's cool too. You can head to the link tree or search for Hot Gamers Only on your favorite podcast service like Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And hey, with that, that has been our show. Thank you ever so much for watching / listening this week, and thank you, Hunter, for not doing any stupid hijinks while the promo was going.
Oh, I still gotta let it simmer.
Yeah, you got. I hate you. I hate you. Unacceptable. But no, it's been fun. Hope you guys have enjoyed. And again, if you have any ideas what else you want us to cover other than Sad Boy Hours on the show in the next month or so, hit us up at hotgamesonly or at hotgamesonly@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you.
Or only Sad Boy Hours, and the whole month of May is just depression arc.
Oh hell yeah, we could do with a good depression arc, guys. Who else? Who else wants to revel in their own despair? Anybody? No? Okay.
Oh man, is this where we pull out the Danganronpa miniseries?
Now you're all depressed. Let's play Danganronpa. No, I'm good.
We just end the month with a Danganronpa spoiler cast.
Hell yeah, dude, hell yeah. That'd be funny. But no. Anyway, we'll be back.
Like I've played those.
No, you watched the anime of one.
The other ones don't have animes.
True.
2 doesn't have an anime?
No. I don't know. I haven't looked.
I don't think so.
Ethan said it was bad.
I don't think
the game,
so.
not the anime.
You know, I've actually warmed up to D2 more. I'm just gonna say it.
Oh, cool.
I'm not gonna elaborate, but I've warmed up a bit more. It's not as bad as I thought it was. I think it's still my least favorite, but I've warmed up to it more. It might be slightly overtaken one. I don't know. I still love 3 though, and you haters can fucking stay mad. Get depressed over that, haters.
Fair assessment.
Anyway.
Yeah.
We're done. It's been fun. Thank you ever so much for listening and watching. We'll be back same time, same place next week for more. Who knows what that'll be. But until then, have an awesome week. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye.
See ya.
Toodaloo.